In the world of high-stakes business, success comes at a cost. Camille Jordan, a Black CEO who has shattered barriers in the tech industry, is poised to deliver her most significant keynote address yet at the Regency Hotel. However, when she's denied a reservation at this luxurious establishment, she is confronted with the bitter reality of subtle prejudice that still pervades society. Determined not to let exclusion define her, Camille embarks on a bold mission to acquire the Regency and transform it into a symbol of inclusivity. But as she navigates the hotel's opulent halls, she uncovers dark secrets linking her family's past to the hotel's legacy of discrimination. Haunted by her father's fight for justice and the weight of her mother's estrangement, Camille's journey becomes a quest for redemption and reconciliation. In a gripping tale of resilience, Camille must confront the ghosts of her heritage while challenging powerful forces that aim to preserve the old guard's control. As the stakes rise, revelations about her mother's sacrifices and hidden truths threaten to unravel everything she has built. Beneath the facade is a powerful exploration of legacy, prejudice, and the transformative strength of one woman's fight to reclaim her identity and create a future where everyone belongs. Will Camille's determination lead to victory, or will the shadows of the past consume her? Discover the answer as Camille battles against all odds to turn her vision into reality. Camille Jordan awoke to the soft light streaming through her bedroom window. The city skyline sprawled before her like a glittering promise. She inhaled deeply, the scent of freshly brewed coffee wafting in from the kitchen. The morning ritual was one of her favorite parts of the day, a moment of solitude before the world pressed in. Rising from her plush bed, she moved through her routine with practiced precision. A quick workout to center herself, followed by a hot shower that washed away the remnants of sleep. As she stood in front of her mirror, Camille meticulously applied her makeup, accentuating her sharp cheekbones and expressive dark eyes that held a fierce determination. Ready to slay today? Ariel Thompson, her assistant, entered the room with a bright smile, a folder of documents clutched in her hands. Ariel was a whirlwind of energy, her neat curly hair bouncing as she moved. Always, Camille replied, her lips curving into a confident smile. What do we have on the agenda? First up, the keynote speech at the Regency, Ariel said, flipping through the folder. And then a quick meeting with the investors after the event. Camille took a deep breath, excitement bubbling beneath the surface. It's time to show them what we're made of. Ariel nodded. You're going to be incredible. Remember, they're just as lucky to have you as a speaker as you are to be there. As they made their way to the kitchen, Camille's thoughts wandered to her father. She recalled his stories of fighting for equality, tales filled with passion and pain. You know, Dad would always say, "The world won't change unless you push against it," she said softly, her gaze drifting to the skyline. I feel like today is one of those moments. Ariel paused, sensing the weight of Camille's words. He'd be proud of you, Camille. You're breaking barriers every day. Camille smiled, the bittersweet memories fueling her resolve. Let's do this. Upon arriving at the Regency, Camille and Ariel stepped out of their sleek limousine, the hotel's grandeur looming before them. The Regency was a vision of luxury, a blend of historical elegance and modern opulence. The facade sparkled in the sunlight, a beacon of exclusivity. As they approached the entrance, Camille felt a familiar tension creeping into her chest. She had battled prejudice her entire life, but the atmosphere here felt different, thick with unspoken judgment. Ready? Ariel asked, a hint of concern in her voice. Let's show them what we can do, Camille replied, straightening her tailored suit. Inside the lobby, the atmosphere was equally breathtaking and intimidating. High ceilings, lavish chandeliers, and plush furnishings surrounded them. Yet, Camille couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't quite belong. Good afternoon. The receptionist greeted them with a practiced smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Camille caught the brief flicker of surprise as the receptionist scanned Camille's face. We're here for the keynote speech under the name Jordan, Ariel stated confidently, stepping forward. The receptionist hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously on the keyboard. One moment, please, she muttered, her gaze darting between the screen and Camille. A minute passed, then two, the silence stretching uncomfortably. Finally, The receptionist looked up, her expression tense. I'm sorry, but I can't seem to find your reservation under that name. Camille's heart sank, her stomach tightening. That's impossible. I confirmed the reservation myself. We are VIP guests. Ariel's eyes narrowed, frustration evident. We even received a confirmation email. The receptionist shifted uncomfortably, clearly out of her depth. I'm sorry, but I'll need to check with my manager. Let's not waste time, Camille interjected, her voice steady but laced with rising anger. We have a schedule to keep. As the receptionist picked up the phone, a tall man in an immaculate suit entered the lobby, exuding an air of authority. Robert Finch, the hotel manager, approached, a forced smile on his face. Good afternoon. I'm Robert Finch, the manager. I understand there's an issue with your reservation. Camille locked eyes with him, sensing the underlying tension. Yes, it seems there's been a mistake. We were supposed to be accommodated for the summit. Finch's smile faltered as he glanced at the receptionist. I see. Unfortunately, there appears to have been a misunderstanding. Our suites are fully booked. Camille felt a cold knot form in her stomach. I can't assure you that my reservation was confirmed. This isn't the first time I've encountered this sort of mix-up. Ariel stepped in, her voice firm. We deserve to be treated with respect. This is unacceptable. Finch maintained his polished facade, but Camille could see the discomfort in his eyes. I understand your frustration, but there's nothing I can do at this moment. Is that so? Camille's voice was calm, but carried an underlying steel. You may not see it, but this isn't just about a room. It's about inclusion, something your hotel has seemingly overlooked. Finch's expression hardened slightly, a flicker of defensiveness crossing his face. We pride ourselves on maintaining a certain standard. I'm sure you understand. Camille felt the sting of his words, a reminder of the barriers she had fought against all her life. I understand more than you think, she replied, her voice steady. Thank you for your time, Mr. Finch. Turning on her heel, Camille walked toward the exit, Ariel scrambling to keep up, her face flushed with anger. This is outrageous. We can't just let them get away with this. Let's not make a scene, Camille said softly as they stepped outside into the crisp air. I refuse to give them the satisfaction. Ariel's frustration boiled over. We should call the press or... No, Camille took a deep breath, grounding herself. I've fought this battle my whole life. This isn't the first time I've faced discrimination because of my skin color. Ariel paused, her anger softening into concern. But you shouldn't have to keep fighting like this. You're Camille Jordan. You've earned everything. Camille looked away, her gaze fixed on the passing cars. I know that, and that's exactly why I can't fight them on their terms. They want a spectacle, and I won't give them that. After a moment of silence, Ariel nodded, her expression determined. So what now? Camille's eyes flickered with resolve. We regroup. We find another hotel for tonight, and then we plan. This isn't over. Later that evening, Camille sat in her temporary hotel room, the stark contrast to the Regency's grandeur weighing heavily on her. The modest space was comfortable, yet it lacked the opulence she had expected. Still, it was a welcoming atmosphere, the kind that fostered inclusivity. As she gazed out at the city skyline, her thoughts raced. The rejection at the Regency stung, but it ignited a fire within her. She opened her laptop and began researching the Regency's ownership and financials, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Camille? Ariel knocked and entered the room, concern etched on her face. Are you all right? I will be, Camille replied, her voice steady. I'm just figuring out how to turn this situation into an opportunity. Ariel stepped closer, curiosity piqued. What do you mean? I've uncovered some troubling financial information about the Regency, Camille said, her eyes gleaming with determination. They've been struggling for years, despite their reputation. You think you could buy them out? Ariel's eyes widened in disbelief. Why not? Camille leaned back in her chair, contemplating her plan. If they won't accept me as a guest, I'll take it upon myself to change the narrative. I'll transform the Regency into a place that embraces everyone. Ariel's admiration shone through. You always have a plan, don't you? I didn't get here by accident, Camille replied, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. It's time to make them see the value of inclusivity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the city, Camille felt a renewed sense of purpose. This battle was far from over, and she was ready to reclaim her place in a world that had too often denied her. With resolve, she picked up her phone, ready to reach out to her legal and financial team. The wheels were in motion, and Camille was determined to ensure that the Regency would one day stand as a testament to change, a beacon of hope in a world still grappling with prejudice. Camille sat at the small conference table in her temporary hotel office, surrounded by a mix of determination and apprehension. The walls were painted a soothing light gray, adorned with minimalist artwork that seemed to reflect her vision of a transformed Regency hotel. As she waited for her team to arrive, she took a moment to collect her thoughts, mentally preparing for the discussion ahead. The door swung open, and Ariel entered, followed closely by Marcus Lee, her legal advisor, and Elena Ramirez, the financial consultant. "I hope everyone had a productive morning," Camille said, greeting them with a warm smile. "Busy, as always," Marcus replied, settling into his chair. His sharp suit contrasted with his easygoing demeanor. "But I wouldn't miss this meeting for anything." "Same here," Elena chimed in, her tone professional yet friendly. She was known for her analytical mind, and her presence always grounded the team. "I've been reviewing the Regency's financials, and there's definitely potential for acquisition." "Great," Camille replied, feeling a surge of confidence. "Let's dive right in. As you all know, our goal is to acquire the Regency and transform it into a symbol of inclusivity." Ariel opened her notebook, ready to take notes. "How do we want to approach this? We need a solid plan that highlights the ethical implications of the acquisition along with the financial benefits." "Absolutely," Camille agreed, her gaze shifting between her team members. "We can leverage their recent financial struggles to present a compelling case. The Regency has been maintaining a facade of exclusivity while struggling to remain profitable. If we can demonstrate how inclusivity can drive business, we'll have a stronger argument." Marcus nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. "We should also address the hotel's history of discrimination head-on. Transparency will be key. We want to acknowledge the past while paving a new path forward." Elena leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with ideas. "What if we propose a community outreach program as part of our vision? It could serve as both a marketing strategy and a way to build goodwill with local organizations." Camille's heart raced at the prospect. "That's brilliant, Elena. It will not only showcase our commitment to change, but also provide us with a network of support as we navigate this acquisition." The team spent the next hour brainstorming, outlining the acquisition plan, discussing the financial projections, and crafting a strategy to present to the investors. Camille felt a sense of unity among them, a shared purpose driving their efforts. As they wrapped up the meeting, Camille felt a renewed sense of determination. "Let's prepare for a follow-up meeting with the investors. I want them to see our vision clearly and understand that we're not just here to take over. We're here to change lives." The following day, Camille and Ariel made their way to the local library, the air crisp with anticipation. Camille carried a sense of purpose, eager to dive into the history of the Regency. The library was a sprawling space filled with books, sunlight filtering through high windows, illuminating the dusty shelves. "Let's start with the archives," Camille suggested, leading the way. They navigated through rows of books, finally reaching the section dedicated to local history. "Do you think we'll find anything significant?" Ariel asked, glancing at the titles lining the shelves. "Let's hope so," Camille replied, pulling out a few books and flipping through the pages. They settled at a table covered in stacks of documents, the scent of old paper surrounding them. Hours passed as they sifted through old newspaper clippings and historical records. Camille's heart raced with each revelation, a series of articles detailing the Regency's founding, its role in the community, and the whispers of its discriminatory practices. "Look at this," Ariel said, pointing to an article dated back to the 1960s. It mentions a protest outside the hotel because they refused entry to black guests. Camille's chest tightened as she read the article. "This is infuriating," she muttered. "They've been upholding this exclusivity for decades." As they continued their research, Camille stumbled upon a photograph of the hotel's grand opening, with the original owner, a black woman named Lila Davis, standing proudly in front of the entrance. Who is she? Camille wondered aloud. Ariel squinted at the photo. I'm not sure, but she looks familiar. Camille's heart raced. Could she be connected to my family? They spent the next hour searching for more information about Lila Davis, but the trail grew colder. Frustrated but determined, Camille made a note to dig deeper into this mysterious figure, sensing that her connection to the Regency was more profound than she initially thought. Back at the Regency, Camille sat across from Mr. Henry Caldwell, one of the hotel's silent investors, in a luxurious boardroom. The air was thick with tension as they prepared for their first negotiation meeting. The room was adorned with dark wood furnishings and rich upholstery, a stark reminder of the hotel's old-world charm. Thank you for meeting with me, Mr. Caldwell, Camille began, her voice steady. I appreciate your time. Of course, Miss Jordan, Caldwell replied, adjusting his glasses. Your reputation precedes you, but I must admit, I have some reservations about your proposal. Camille felt a surge of determination. I understand that, and I'm here to address those concerns. The Regency has been struggling financially, and my vision for the hotel focuses on inclusivity and growth. Growth is all well and good, but exclusivity is what this hotel was built on, Caldwell countered, his skepticism evident. The clientele we cater to expects a certain standard. Exactly, Camille said, leaning forward. But maintaining that standard doesn't have to mean excluding entire demographics. Imagine the potential market we're missing by not reaching out to a broader audience. As they continued the discussion, Camille showcased her plans for community outreach and partnerships, highlighting the ethical implications of their decisions. However, Caldwell remained skeptical, glancing at Robert Finch, who lingered at the back of the room, watching the negotiation closely. I appreciate your passion, Ms. Jordan, but I need more concrete evidence that your approach will be profitable, Caldwell said, his tone cautious. Camille's heart raced as she realized the uphill battle ahead. I can provide a detailed financial analysis to illustrate how this transformation can drive revenue. I just need your support. The meeting ended inconclusively, leaving Camille feeling a mix of hope and uncertainty. As she walked out, Ariel approached her, concern etched on her face. How did it go? Not as smoothly as I'd hoped, Camille admitted, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Caldwell is hesitant, and Finch is lurking in the shadows, waiting to undermine my efforts. We'll figure this out, Ariel assured her. You're not in this alone. The following week, Camille found herself back at the Regency, this time in a meeting with Robert Finch and the hotel's management team. The air was thick with tension as she prepared to confront the old guard. Thank you for joining us today, Finch began, his tone dripping with condescension. I understand there are some changes you'd like to propose. Camille's spine straightened. I believe it's crucial for the Regency to embrace inclusivity, and I'm here to outline a plan that reflects that vision. The room erupted into whispers, skepticism palpable in the air. Finch leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. Inclusivity is a noble goal, but it can come at a cost. Are you prepared to risk our established reputation? I believe our reputation can grow stronger through inclusivity, Camille replied, her voice firm. It's time to evolve, to recognize that our current model is outdated and limiting. Finch's eyes narrowed. And what do you suggest we do? Exactly? Camille laid out her proposals, highlighting the need for diversity training, outreach programs, and community partnerships. The management team exchanged glances, some appearing intrigued, while others remained resistant. Change doesn't happen overnight, Camille continued, trying to rally support. But it starts with us taking a stand against the very practices that have kept us isolated for too long. The meeting grew heated as Finch pushed back, arguing for the status quo. You're dreaming if you think our current clientele will accept these changes, he snapped. Then let's give them a reason to accept it, Camille countered, her determination unwavering. We can attract new guests while still catering to our loyal patrons. As the meeting continued, Camille felt the tension escalate. Finch's antagonistic stance was becoming increasingly evident, and she could sense that he would stop at nothing to protect his traditionalist views. After the meeting concluded, Ariel approached Camille, concern etched on her face. "He's not going to make this easy for you." "I didn't expect him to," Camille replied, her jaw set with determination. "But I won't back down. I need to gather more evidence of the Regency's past and fast." The next day, Camille and Ariel returned to the Regency, this time with a specific goal: to gather evidence of the hotel's past discriminatory practices. Armed with determination, they approached the restricted archives room, where they hoped to uncover the truth hidden within the hotel's history. "This is a risk," Ariel whispered as they entered the dimly lit room, filled with dusty boxes and old files. "We could get in serious trouble." "Sometimes, you have to take risks to make a change," Camille replied, her voice steady. "We need to know what we're up against." As they sifted through boxes, Camille discovered old documents and photographs depicting protests and incidents of exclusion. Her heart raced as she recognized the patterns that had persisted over the years. Each piece of evidence reinforced her determination to reclaim the narrative. Suddenly, an elderly woman entered the room, her eyes sharp and curious. "What are you two doing here?" she asked, crossing her arms. We were just," Ariel stammered, caught off guard. "I'm Camille Jordan, the new owner," Camille said, stepping forward. "We're researching the hotel's history." The woman's eyes softened slightly. "I'm Mrs. Evelyn Brooks, a former employee. I've seen many things in this hotel's time. Do you have any insights into its past?" Camille inquired, her curiosity piqued. Evelyn nodded slowly, her expression turning serious. "This hotel has a long history of keeping people like you out, but it hasn't always been that way. There were moments of change, sometimes forced by the community." Camille leaned in, eager to hear more. "Can you tell me about those moments?" Evelyn shared stories of past injustices, detailing how the hotel had maintained policies designed to exclude people of color. As Camille listened, she felt a sense of urgency to bring these stories to light, to ensure that the hotel's future would be one of inclusivity. "This evidence could help strengthen our case," Camille said, her determination renewed. "Thank you, Mrs. Brooks. I appreciate your insight." As they left the archives, Camille and Ariel exchanged glances, both aware that they were delving deeper into a history that needed to be confronted. Armed with new evidence and emotional stakes rising, Camille felt a fire igniting within her. This battle was not just about the hotel. It was about reclaiming her family's legacy and making a real difference. Camille sat at her temporary office desk, papers strewn before her, and a determined look on her face. The sun filtered through the large windows, illuminating the space and casting a warm glow over the room. She had gathered her core team, Ariel, Marcus, and Elena, for a crucial strategy meeting that could determine the future of the Regency Hotel. "All right, everyone, thank you for being here," Camille began, her voice steady. "We have a lot of ground to cover today, especially after our last meeting with Mr. Caldwell. We need to convince him and the other investors that our vision for the Regency is not only necessary but profitable." Ariel nodded, her notepad ready. "We need to emphasize the changing demographics in the hospitality industry. More travelers are seeking diverse and inclusive experiences." Marcus leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "Exactly. But we also need to present hard data. I've been analyzing the financial reports, and there's a clear trend showing that hotels that embrace inclusivity are seeing increased revenue." Elena chimed in, her eyes sparkling with ideas. "What if we create a proposal that outlines a phased approach to inclusivity? We can start with community outreach initiatives, training programs, and then showcase how those changes lead to better customer satisfaction and higher occupancy rates." Camille's heart raced at the prospect. "That's brilliant, Elena. It gives us a clear roadmap and shows our commitment to transformation." As they discussed the details, Camille felt the energy in the room shift. They were all aligned, driven by a shared purpose to reclaim the Regency and redefine its legacy. "Let's set deadlines for each stage of our proposal," Camille suggested. "We need to present this in a way that's not just aspirational but also actionable. I want to have a draft ready for the investors in the next week." The team nodded in agreement, and the atmosphere filled with a sense of urgency. They spent the next hour brainstorming ideas, outlining their plans, and rallying around Camille's vision for a more inclusive hotel. The following day, Camille and Ariel attended a local community meeting held at a nearby community center. The room was filled with residents, activists, and local business owners, all eager to hear about Camille's plans for the Regency. As Camille stood at the front, she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Thank you all for coming today. I'm Camille Jordan, the new owner of the Regency Hotel. I want to share my vision for how we can transform this hotel into a space that embraces everyone, regardless of their background. The audience listened intently as Camille outlined her plans for inclusivity and community engagement. We want to establish partnerships with local organizations, create internship programs for underrepresented youth, and ensure that everyone feels welcomed at the Regency. A hand shot up from the back of the room. What guarantees do we have that you'll follow through on this? A middle-aged man asked, skepticism etched on his face. Camille met his gaze, her voice firm. I understand your concerns. This isn't just about business for me. It's personal. I've seen firsthand how exclusion affects communities. I'm committed to making real changes, and I want you all to hold me accountable. As she continued to speak, Camille felt the audience's skepticism begin to shift. She shared her father's story of fighting for equality, connecting emotionally with the attendees. I want the Regency to be a place where everyone feels they belong. Together, we can change the narrative. At the end of her speech, the audience erupted into applause. Camille felt a surge of hope and gratitude as several community leaders approached her, eager to collaborate. Ariel stood by her side, beaming with pride. That was incredible, Ariel exclaimed. You really connected with them. I just hope they believe in this vision as much as I do, Camille replied, her mind racing with possibilities. This support could make a significant difference when we present to the investors. Back at the Regency, the atmosphere felt tense. Camille had gathered her core team for a follow-up meeting, eager to capitalize on the momentum from the community meeting. But just as they settled into their seats, Ariel rushed in, her expression fraught with concern. Camille, we need to talk, Ariel said, her voice low. About what? Camille asked, her brow furrowing. I just overheard Marcus talking to Robert Finch, Ariel said, her voice trembling with urgency. He's been leaking information about our plans to him. Camille felt the world around her tilt. What do you mean? Why would he do that? Ariel glanced around the room, lowering her voice. He's worried about his position. Finch has been feeding him doubts about your leadership and the direction you're taking. Are you serious? Camille's anger flared, but she tried to keep her voice steady. I trusted him. I know, but we can't let this derail our plans, Ariel urged. We need to confront him. Camille took a deep breath, her mind racing. You're right. I can't let this betrayal go unchecked. Let's get to the bottom of this. Later that day, Camille arranged to meet Marcus at a small cafe near the Regency. The atmosphere was casual, a sharp contrast to the tension swirling in her mind. When Marcus arrived, he looked taken aback by her serious demeanor. Hey, Camille, he said, his voice casual. What's up? Camille took a seat across from him, her expression unwavering. We need to talk about what I just heard. Marcus's brow furrowed, confusion evident on his face. What do you mean? Don't play games with me, Camille replied, her tone steely. Ariel overheard you discussing our plans with Finch. Why are you undermining our efforts? Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his confidence wavering. I wasn't undermining anything. I was just what? Trying to protect your job? Camille interrupted, her frustration bubbling over. This is bigger than you, Marcus. We're trying to create real change here. I know, Marcus said, his voice rising defensively. But Finch has been planting doubts in my mind. What if this doesn't work out? What if we lose everything? Camille felt a mixture of anger and disappointment. You're letting fear dictate your actions. We're all taking a risk, but I believed in you. I trusted you to stand by me. Look, I'm sorry, Marcus said, his tone softening. I didn't mean for it to get this far. I just what? Camille pressed, her patience wearing thin. You're either with us or against us. I can't have anyone in my circle who doesn't believe in this mission. Marcus looked down, shame washing over his features. I get it. I just panicked. Panicking doesn't get results, Marcus, Camille said firmly. If you can't commit to this, then maybe it's best we part ways. The weight of her words hung heavily in the air. Marcus looked up, vulnerability shining through. I want to be a part of this, I do. I just need to get my head straight. Then show me you're committed, Camille said, her voice resolute. No more second-guessing, no more side conversations with Finch. We're in this together. Marcus nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of the situation. I promise I won't let you down again. As the weeks progressed, Camille and her team poured their energy into finalizing their acquisition proposal. They met regularly, sharing ideas and refining their plans. Camille felt the tension from earlier begin to lift, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. One afternoon, they gathered in the temporary office, the atmosphere buzzing with excitement. We've got the community on our side, and our proposal is shaping up nicely, Ariel said, her eyes sparkling. I think we're ready to present to the investors. Camille nodded, a smile breaking across her face. This is it, team. We've come so far, and now it's time to show them what we can do. As they reviewed the final touches, the doors swung open, and Samuel Grant, the financial expert they had enlisted, walked in. Hope I'm not interrupting, he said, a grin on his face. I just wanted to see how the presentation is coming along. Just wrapping up, Camille replied. We're excited to present to the investors next week. Are you ready? Absolutely, Samuel said, taking a seat. I've been reviewing the financial projections, and I'm confident we can make a compelling case. The team spent the next hour finalizing their presentation, ensuring every detail was polished. Camille felt a surge of pride as they collaborated, their ideas flowing seamlessly together. This is more than just a business deal, Camille said, her voice firm. We're fighting for something much larger, an opportunity to change lives and redefine what the Regency stands for. As they finished, Camille looked around the room, her heart swelling with gratitude. Thank you all for your hard work and commitment. We're about to make history. The morning sun poured through the large windows of Camille's temporary office, illuminating the space filled with presentation materials, laptops, and charts. Camille stood at the front of the room, rehearsing her speech one last time in front of her team. Ariel, Marcus, Elena, and Samuel. Remember, Camille said, adjusting her blazer, this isn't just about the numbers. It's about the change we can make at the Regency. We're not only acquiring a hotel, we're redefining what luxury means. Ariel nodded, her face a mixture of pride and nervousness. You've got this, Camille. Just speak from the heart. Marcus looked up from his laptop, a hint of skepticism still lingering. I'm still worried about the investors' reactions. Finch has a lot of influence, and he won't go down without a fight. Let him try, Camille replied, a steely determination in her voice. We have the community's support, and we have evidence of the Regency's troubled past. This isn't just business for us. It's personal. Exactly. Elena chimed in, her fingers tapping on her tablet. We've worked too hard to let one person derail us. Let's show them our vision. As they reviewed their materials one last time, Samuel spoke up, his voice steady. Let's focus on the opportunity for growth through inclusivity. The numbers don't lie. Hotels that embrace diverse clientele are thriving. Camille felt a wave of confidence wash over her. Okay, let's do this. We're ready. Arriving at the Regency's opulent boardroom, Camille felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The room was adorned with dark wood panels, a large mahogany table in the center, and luxurious leather chairs. A massive chandelier hung above, casting a golden glow over the proceedings. As they entered, Camille was greeted by the glances of the investors seated around the table, including Mr. Henry Caldwell, Linda Hartman, and other key stakeholders. Robert Finch stood in the corner, arms crossed, a smug look on his face. Good morning, everyone, Camille began, her voice projecting confidence. Thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to present our vision for the Regency and discuss how we can create a hotel that embraces inclusivity. Let's get to the point, Caldwell said, his tone brusque. We're all aware of the hotel's current situation. What makes you think your plan will succeed? Camille held her ground, the stakes heavy in the air. We have the opportunity to redefine luxury hospitality. By welcoming a diverse clientele, we can not only improve our reputation but also drive significant revenue growth. The room fell silent as she laid out her vision, detailing their community outreach initiatives, partnerships, and the financial projections supporting her claims. Some investors leaned forward, intrigued, while others remained skeptical, especially Finch. As Camille presented, the technical equipment in the room suddenly malfunctioned. The projector flickered, and the slides went blank. A murmur of frustration rippled through the investors. "Of course, this would happen," Finch said, a smirk playing on his lips. "How can we trust your plan if you can't even manage a simple presentation?" Camille took a deep breath, fighting against the tide of nerves. Technical issues are part of any presentation. What matters is the substance of our proposal. Let's focus on the potential for change. Linda Hartman, a fierce competitor, interjected, "I don't see the need to disrupt the hotel's long-standing tradition of exclusivity. Why change something that has worked for years?" Camille felt the atmosphere shift, tension rising. "With all due respect, Ms. Hartman, maintaining exclusivity has led to stagnation. The hospitality industry is evolving, and those who refuse to adapt will be left behind." Finch leaned in, his voice dripping with skepticism. "And what guarantees do we have that this new approach won't alienate our existing clientele?" "It's a risk." Camille remained composed, her heart racing. "I can assure you that our goal is not to alienate anyone but to expand our reach. With community backing and evidence of successful inclusivity in other hotels, we can prove that change is both possible and profitable." The meeting grew heated, with investors voicing doubts and concerns. Camille's resolve hardened, and she knew she had to find a way to turn the tide in her favor. As the tension peaked, Camille took a step back and let her voice soften. "Let me share with you the community support we've already garnered. We have letters from local leaders and testimonials from residents who are eager to see change at the Regency." She gestured to Samuel, who presented the financial analysis. "As you can see, the trend shows that hotels embracing diversity are experiencing significant revenue growth. We're not just asking for a chance. We're presenting a solid business opportunity." Caldwell's expression shifted, a flicker of interest evident. "I'd like to see those numbers in detail." "Of course," Camille replied, her heart lifting slightly. "We've compiled all relevant data into a comprehensive report that we'll provide you with immediately after this meeting." As the discussion progressed, Camille shared her personal connection to the cause, recounting her father's fight for justice and how it inspired her mission. "This isn't just business for me. It's about honoring a legacy of equality." The room grew quiet, the investors' expressions softening as they began to see the emotional weight behind Camille's mission. The tide began to turn in her favor, and she felt a renewed sense of determination. As the meeting drew to a close, the investors exchanged glances, some appearing convinced while others remained hesitant. "It's time for a vote," Caldwell declared, his tone serious. Camille held her breath as the votes were cast. The tension in the room was palpable, and Camille's heart raced as she anticipated the outcome. "Majority support has been reached," Caldwell announced, a surprised smile breaking across his face. "Your proposal passes." Cheers erupted from Camille's team, and Ariel threw her arms around her. "We did it." However, amidst the celebration, Finch's demeanor remained icy. "This isn't over," he warned, his voice low. "You may have one today, but I'll make sure your vision doesn't succeed." "Let's see what you can do," Camille replied, her voice steady. "I'm not afraid of a little opposition." As Camille left the boardroom, she felt a mix of triumph and trepidation. The victory was sweet, but she knew the real work was just beginning. The Regency was now hers, and with it came the responsibility to transform it into a place of inclusivity. The mood in the boardroom of the Regency was electric, filled with an air of victory. Camille stood at the head of the large mahogany table, flanked by her team as they prepared to finalize the acquisition of the hotel. The investors who had initially been skeptical were now more receptive, thanks to Camille's heartfelt presentation and the community backing she had garnered. "Congratulations, Camille," Henry Caldwell said, a rare smile breaking through his usually stern demeanor. "You've secured a solid majority. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell, Camille replied, feeling the weight of the moment. I won't take this responsibility lightly. The Regency will be transformed into a place where everyone feels welcome. Robert Finch, still standing in the corner, crossed his arms tightly. You may have one today, but remember that change doesn't come without resistance, he warned, his voice cool. You'll face challenges, internally and externally. Camille met his gaze steadily. I expect challenges, Mr. Finch, but I also believe that together we can create a positive impact. As the final documents were signed, Camille felt a sense of triumph wash over her. This was not just a victory for her. It was a victory for everyone who had faced exclusion. Her mind raced with possibilities, and she was eager to dive into the transformation process. The following morning marked Camille's first official day as the owner of the Regency. The hotel buzzed with activity, staff members moving swiftly through the elegant lobby, and guests mingling under the lavish chandeliers. Camille walked through the lobby, taking in the grandeur of the space that was now hers. She felt a surge of pride mixed with apprehension as she prepared to introduce herself to the staff. All right, let's do this, she said to Ariel, who stood beside her, her expression supportive. Camille climbed the stairs to the balcony overlooking the main lobby. Excuse me, everyone, she called out, her voice echoing slightly. The staff paused, turning to face her with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. I'm Camille Jordan, the new owner of the Regency. I want to take a moment to introduce myself and share my vision for this hotel, she began, her heart racing. She watched as some staff members exchanged glances, their expressions revealing uncertainty. I believe the Regency can be a beacon of inclusivity, a place where everyone feels they belong, she continued, her voice gaining strength. I'm here to ensure that our policies reflect that commitment. Change doesn't come easily, Ms. Jordan. One of the longtime employees spoke up, crossing her arms defensively. We've always catered to a specific clientele. Are you really prepared to throw that away? I understand your concerns, Camille replied, maintaining her composure. But I believe we can enhance our reputation and increase profitability by expanding our reach. I'm not asking you to abandon our past. I'm asking you to help me build a brighter future for everyone who walks through our doors. The atmosphere in the room softened as Camille continued to address their concerns with empathy. Slowly, she noticed nods of agreement among some staff members, and a glimmer of hope flickered within her. Later that day, Camille returned to her new office, eager to dive into the piles of paperwork and historical records she had gathered. As she sifted through the documents, a particular ledger caught her eye, its spine worn and dusty. Curious, she opened it and gasped at the name scrawled across the top, Lila Davis. Camille felt her heart race as she stared at the name connected to the hotel's early years. Ariel, come look at this, she called out, waving her assistant over. I think I've found something important. Ariel approached, her brow furrowing as she glanced at the ledger. Lila Davis? Who is that? Camille took a deep breath, her mind racing. She was the original owner of the Regency. But why is her name in this ledger? Could it be related to your mother? Ariel suggested, her eyes widening. You mentioned your mother's name in passing once. What do you know about her? I know she was successful but left us when I was a child, Camille replied, her voice tightening. But I never connected her to the Regency. We need to find out more, Ariel urged, excitement mixing with concern. This could be a key part of your story, Camille. Camille nodded, feeling a sense of urgency. I need to understand my family's history and how it relates to this hotel. It's time to confront the past. Determined to learn more, Camille decided to seek out Mrs. Evelyn Brooks, the elderly former employee who had hinted at deeper connections within the Regency. The sun hung low in the sky as Camille made her way to the historical archives room, where she had last spoken with Evelyn. Mrs. Brooks? Camille called out as she entered the room. Evelyn looked up from her desk, her eyes brightening with recognition. Ah, Miss Jordan, what can I do for you today? I found something intriguing regarding Lila Davis, and I need your insight, Camille said, her heart racing. What can you tell me about her connection to the Regency? Evelyn's expression shifted, a hint of nostalgia in her gaze. Lila was a remarkable woman, a trailblazer in her own right. She faced immense challenges while running the hotel, especially during a time when the industry was resistant to change. Camille leaned in closer, eager for more information. What kind of challenges? Evelyn sighed, her voice heavy with memory. There were pressures to maintain exclusivity, and Lila was often torn between her vision for an inclusive hotel and the expectations of the wealthy investors. In the end, she made sacrifices that led to her leaving the Regency and distancing herself from her family. Why didn't she fight harder? Camille asked, a mix of anger and sadness rising within her. Sometimes the weight of the world is too much to bear, Evelyn replied gently. Lila believed she was doing what was best for her family, but it came at a cost, one that haunted her. As Camille listened, she felt a deep connection to Lila's struggles. I need to find her, she said, determination flooding her veins. I have to confront her about this past and understand what really happened. After much effort, Camille tracked down Lila to a quaint cafe on the outskirts of the city. The ambience was warm and inviting, yet Camille felt a sense of trepidation as she pushed open the door. The bell chimed softly, and Camille spotted Lila sitting in a corner, her elegant silver hair glinting in the sunlight. She looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. Camille? Lila's voice was cautious, as if unsure whether to embrace or evade her daughter. Mom, Camille replied, her heart pounding. We need to talk. Lila gestured to the empty seat across from her. I didn't think I'd see you again. What brings you here? I found some information about the Regency and your connection to it, Camille said, her voice steady but laced with emotion. I need to understand why you left and what really happened. Lila's expression hardened, a flicker of pain flashing across her face. Some things are better left in the past, Camille. No, they're not, Camille countered, feeling the weight of her emotions. Your decisions shape my life. I want to know the truth. Lila took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. It wasn't easy for me. I was young, married into a powerful family, and I thought I could change things from within. But the pressures were immense, and I ended up sacrificing everything. My family, my identity. Why didn't you fight for us? Camille pressed, her heart aching. You had a choice. I thought I was protecting you, Lila replied, tears brimming in her eyes. I wanted to provide a better life for you. But in doing so, I lost sight of what truly mattered. Camille felt a mix of anger and empathy, her emotions swirling within her. You abandoned us, Mom. How could you think that was okay? I know it was wrong, Lila said, her voice breaking. I was trapped in a system that valued profit over people, and I made choices I regret every day. I thought distance would keep you safe from the same prejudices I faced. As they sat in silence, Camille felt a rush of conflicting emotions, anger, sadness, and a yearning for reconciliation. I'm reclaiming the Regency, Mom. I want to turn it into a place where everyone is welcomed. But I need your support. Lila's expression softened, a glimmer of hope appearing in her eyes. If you're serious about this, I'll help you. I've seen what happens when we allow our past to dictate our future. It's time to break the cycle. Camille nodded, feeling the weight of their shared history beginning to lift. Then let's work together to make this right. As they left the cafe, Camille felt a renewed sense of purpose, determined to honor both her father's legacy and the journey her mother had taken. Together, they would confront the ghosts of the past and forge a new path for the Regency, transforming it into a beacon of hope and inclusivity. The first rays of sunlight filtered through the grand windows of the Regency, illuminating the lobby that Camille now called home. Standing at the reception desk, she felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Today marked the beginning of a new era at the hotel, and she was ready to implement her vision of inclusivity. Good morning, everyone, Camille called out, her voice echoing through the lobby as staff members gathered around her. The buzz of morning activity momentarily paused, eyes turning to her with varying degrees of skepticism and curiosity. I know changes can be daunting, she began, glancing around the room, but I want to assure you that every decision we make from this day forward will reflect our commitment to creating an environment where everyone feels welcome. As she outlined the new inclusive policies, Some staff members exchanged doubtful looks. But what about our regular clientele? One of the longtime employees asked, her arms crossed defensively. They expect a certain standard. I understand that concern, Camille replied, her tone calm yet firm. However, we can enhance that standard by expanding our reach. A more diverse clientele is not just a goal. It's an opportunity for growth. Ariel, standing beside Camille, chimed in. Research shows that hotels embracing diversity see increased occupancy rates and higher customer satisfaction. This isn't just about goodwill. It's about business. Slowly, nods of agreement began to ripple through the crowd. We'll be implementing training sessions next week to help everyone adapt to these changes, Camille continued, her enthusiasm contagious. Together, we can redefine luxury hospitality. Weeks later, preparations for the Legacy Symposium were in full swing. The Grand Ballroom, once a symbol of exclusivity, was now transformed into a vibrant space reflecting diversity and inclusion. Colorful banners adorned the walls, and tables were set with centerpieces that showcased local artisans. Are you ready for this? Ariel asked, adjusting the microphone at the podium. It's a big day for you, Camille. I'm nervous, but I know this is important, Camille replied, glancing at the guests arriving. This symposium is our chance to address the Regency's past openly and celebrate our commitment to a brighter future. As community leaders, activists, and media representatives filled the room, Camille felt a surge of hope. She took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage, her heart racing. Welcome, everyone, she began, her voice steady. Today, we're here to confront the shadows of our past while embracing the promise of a new beginning. The audience listened intently as Camille shared the hotel's history and her personal connection to the cause. She spoke passionately about the need for inclusivity in every facet of life, weaving in her father's legacy as a civil rights activist. Today, we acknowledge our mistakes, but we also celebrate our progress, Camille concluded, her eyes shining with determination. The room erupted into applause, a wave of support washing over her. As the symposium continued, Camille felt a weight lift off her shoulders. The atmosphere buzzed with energy as discussions unfolded, but she knew there was still work to do. Later that week, she dedicated herself to uncovering more about her family's connection to the Regency. In her office, surrounded by papers and documents, she stumbled upon hidden records that hinted at a scandal involving Lila Davis. The pieces began to fall into place, and Camille felt a sense of urgency. Ariel, come here, she called out, excitement bubbling in her chest. I think I've found something. Ariel rushed in, her eyes wide with curiosity. What is it? Camille gestured to the documents. These records show that Lila was coerced into selling the Regency to protect the hotel's reputation during a scandal. She had no choice. Ariel's face fell. So, all this time, she was trapped? That explains her disappearance. Exactly, Camille said, her heart aching for her mother. I need to confront her with this information. She deserves to know that her sacrifices haven't been in vain. As Camille prepared for the next board meeting, tension hung heavy in the air. Robert Finch and his allies had been working behind the scenes to undermine her efforts, spreading rumors about her leadership. Camille, they're trying to rally support against you, Ariel warned, her voice low. We need to address this before it escalates. Let them try, Camille replied, her determination unwavering. I've faced worse. I won't back down now. In the boardroom, Camille sat at the head of the table, her team by her side. Finch glared at her, his expression a mixture of contempt and anger. We need to discuss the direction the Regency is taking, he said, his voice dripping with condescension. Let's discuss results, Camille countered, her gaze steady. Since implementing the new policies, we've seen a 20% increase in occupancy rates and positive feedback from guests. A murmur of surprise rippled through the room. I'm not convinced, Finch replied, crossing his arms. What if these changes alienate our traditional clientele? We're not abandoning anyone. We're expanding our horizons, Camille asserted, her voice firm. We're bringing in new guests who want to experience the luxury of the Regency. The discussion grew heated as Finch and his supporters tried to sway opinions, but Camille remained resolute. The data speaks for itself, and the community stands behind us. I won't allow you to derail this progress. With each argument Camille presented, the tide began to turn. Support shifted towards her side, and she felt the momentum building. The board voted, and Camille's vision was upheld, pushing Finch and his faction back into the shadows. After the board meeting, Camille felt a sense of relief wash over her. She was determined to reach out to Lila once again, armed with the truth about her mother's past. "Mom, can we talk?" Camille asked, finding Lila at a quiet cafe where they had met before. Lila looked up, her expression hesitant. "Camille, Lila began, but Camille cut her off gently. "I've discovered what really happened with the Regency and the sacrifices you made," Camille said, her voice softening. "I want to understand." Lila's eyes filled with tears, and she took a shaky breath. "I never wanted you to find out this way. I did what I thought was best, but I see now that I made terrible choices." "Your choices affected us all," Camille replied, her heart aching. "But I also see the pressure you were under. I want to forgive you, but I need to know we can rebuild our relationship." "I want that too," Lila said, her voice cracking. "I'm proud of the woman you've become, and I want to help you with the Regency. Let's make it a place that honors our past while embracing the future." As they talked, Camille felt a weight lift off her shoulders. "Together, we can change the legacy of the Regency. It's time to turn it into a beacon of hope and inclusivity."